Good evening. It's my pleasure to call the November 8th Dayton Town Council meeting to order at 6:00 p.m. Today's meeting will also be streamed online. There will be no public comment accepted through Zoom. I would like to remind everyone there is a sign-up sheet at the entrance for those who are interested in addressing council during the public comments portion of tonight's meeting. When called upon, please come to the podium, state your name and your address. This will be the only opportunity to speak. If there are disruptions during the meeting, you will be given one warning. If disruptions continue, Lieutenant Hooker will escort you from the building so that we can conduct the business of the town. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes. Roll call, please, Ms. Hall.
Yes. Ms. Matthias?
Present.
Mr. Dijak?
Present.
Ms. Hoover?
Here.
Mr. Seward?
Here.
Ms. Estes?
Here.
Mayor Jackson?
Present. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to meet this evening. We ask for your guidance in the matters before us. We ask that you protect the first responders and the men and women of the military who protect us across this great land. We pray in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to start tonight with the appointment to replace the position of Dale Rogers, who moved out of town. If I could have Mr. First of all, actually, I need to do a motion. I need a motion to appoint Robert Walls to the Dayton Town Council effective immediately to fill the vacancy created by Dale Rogers for a term to continue until December 31st, 2022, until a successor is elected and qualified. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Hoover. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Matthias. Roll call, please, Ms. Hall.
All right, Mr. Dijak?
Aye.
Ms. Hoover?
Aye.
Mr. Seward?
Aye.
Ms. Matthias?
Aye.
Ms. Estes?
Aye.
Mayor Jackson?
Aye, motion passes. Now, if we could have Mr. Hayward come up, or Haywood, excuse me. Sorry.
Jazz.
Chaz,
Their place you need us.
you can do it right there.
Right. Your pictures, watch stand up here. There you go. Ready? Repeat after me. I state your name. I, Robert Wall. Do solemnly swear or affirm. Solemnly swear. That I'll support the Constitution of the United States. Support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia. The Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia. That I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as a member of town council for the town of Dayton for a term ending on December 31st, 2022, according to the best of my abilities. So congratulations.
Welcome.
Thank you all for having me back.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. And you may take a seat on the dais.
Thanks for coming, Jack.
Yeah, we
Take care of business here.
come on up. Now I'd like to introduce Megan Albright and Hunter Simmons with Brown Edwards and Company. They did the audit for our 2021 books. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I didn't know I would be the official first presenter. For you, so that's never happened. I've done a lot of council presentations. Yeah, I'm Megan Arkansas, partner of Brown Edwards in the Harrisonburg office. Hunter Simmons is in charge with me, and he's been working with the town for several years now. Thank you. We love getting to serve the town. We actually love getting to do your audit. And I'll be quick and short and sweet here tonight, but we did issue an unmodified opinion, which is the clean opinion. That's the one that you want. Basically means that your financial statements are materially correct. We also issue a report on internal controls, which is required under Yellow Book compliance. And we do not test your controls, but it is a letter on the effectiveness of the design of your controls. The financial statements have a lot of information in them. There's some detailed information and then more detailed information in the note disclosures. There's some required information for pension and OPEB that can get very, very lengthy. But the town is part of Virginia Retirement Systems pension, and the town also offers other post-employment benefits that we have lots of numbers disclosed about those. That's probably half of your report, actually. But we also issue a management letter, what we call management letter. That's an internal control. So like I said, we do look over your internal control processes. We understand them, and we do brief walkthroughs where we see, okay, this is what you told us is happening. Let's see if it's really happening. We had a couple of management letter comments this year. One was on audit adjustments, mostly year-end stuff. One was on segregation of duties, not at all surprised in a small town. Also with one of the accounting people leaving, but small towns, very difficult to completely segregate duties. There's always a risk there. And then on the right side, your bank reconciliations, which we had a comment on last year for not being done timely. The reason for it last year not being timely was that they were revamping the system in order to do it within the software. And so this year that comment is no longer applicable, that bank reconciliations were done timely and accurately throughout the year. Our third item is a letter to those charged with governance. That's you guys. This is a lot of boilerplate standard language, but it's all super important. Like for instance, your financial statements have estimates in them. They're not exact numbers, and that'll be in there every single year. You've got lives of capital assets. You've got obviously the pension is a massive estimate, but we also talk about corrected misstatements and uncorrected misstatements. So corrected misstatements are entries that were made. There's a list of those. Like I said, a lot of them were year-end entries or kind of unusual things. And then the uncorrected misstatements, one of those is a recurring item that we're going to have every year, and we've had it for the last several years, and that's just a timing issue. And then the other one was for a correction. There was formula error in a spreadsheet, and so we just chose not to fix that because it was not material to users. We also attach to that letter a management representation letter that's several pages long. When we come in to do an audit, we ask a lot of questions. We read all your minutes and we ask a lot of questions and we look at a lot of stuff. And essentially, in a nutshell, that letter says, yeah, we told you everything we know. We didn't withhold any information. And we do understand that there's the responsibility for these financial statements lies with the town. So that's all I've got for you. If you have any questions, happy to have Hunter. I'm just kidding.
Just wanted to clarify again, unmodified report,
Yes.
correct? Okay, so for our high school civics students
yeah.
here,
Oh, right.
that
yeah.
means we're clean.
Yeah.
But thank you, that's good. And I assume it was a smooth process now that we've had kind of the team in place here now for a couple of years.
Yeah, and I will say, you guys are my first council presentation of this June 30th year end. So that means, yeah, you're the first ones to get done and have the presentation. So yeah, it's always super nice because it's, everybody's really responsive when we come, which is like the key thing to have a smooth audit. So yeah, it went really, really well.
Well, thanks for your time throughout the audit and coming up this season.
Thank you.
Have a great night. I need a motion to approve the minutes for the regular town council meeting of October 12th and a special call meeting of October 27th.
So moved.
Mr. Dijak, do I have a second? Second. Ms. Estes. Are there any amendments to the minutes? Roll call, please, Ms. Hall.
Ms. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Dijak,
Aye.
Mr. Seward,
Aye.
Ms. Estes, Ms. Matthias,
Aye.
Mr. Walls,
Aye.
Mayor Jackson.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. We're going to have two closed sessions this evening. For the first one, the live stream will have no audio. It will show the room for those that are on Zoom. We will leave this room and go back into the other chambers. I need a motion to go into our first of two closed sessions this evening pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2.3711A3 for discussion of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. The subject matter of the closed session is the possible acquisition of real property for a water treatment plant expansion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Dijak. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Seward? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We will now go into closed session.
Mr. Mayor, for those that are sitting here, it shouldn't take too long and we'll be back in regular session.
Wrote down that motion. The motion that you wrote down.
Parcel A.
You add for the price of $10,000.
Okay, yep.
Just so there's no public impact.
I got something to read over there.
I need a motion to adjourn the closed session.
So moved.
Ms.
Second.
Matthias,
Oh, okay.
Ms. Estes, we'll do it that way. Second, Ms. Matthias. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. With respect to the just concluded closed session, and to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the council. Roll call, please, Ms. Hall.
Mr. Dijak,
Aye.
Ms. Estes, Ms. Hoover,
Aye.
Ms. Matthias,
Aye.
Mr. Seward,
Aye.
Mr. Walls,
Aye.
Mayor Jackson.
Aye. Okay, I need a motion to approve the contract and authorize the purchase of 0.57 acres labeled as parcel A in the contract for the price of $10,000.
So moved.
Oh, she got you there. Ms. Matthias, second, Mr. Dijak.
It was Ms. Hoover.
Oh, Ms. Hoover, I apologize. I don't want to take that away from you. Roll call, please, Ms. Hall.
All right, Ms. Hoover,
Aye.
Ms. Estes,
Aye.
Mr. Dijak,
Aye.
Ms. Matthias,
Aye.
Mr. Walls,
Aye.
Mr. Stewart,
Aye.
Mayor Jackson.
Aye. Now, for those of students that are here this evening, just to give you kind of an idea of what just happened. Anytime we go into a closed session, we have to read the statute of why we're going into closed session. We can only talk about those items that we say that we're going to discuss when we go in there. Same thing as we come out of closed session, we have to read that disclaimer that we only talked about those items, and then we do the roll call. So that's what all just happened there. Now we have the purchase of, sorry, got that, Mr. Dijak. Now we have an ordinance to approve the employee holiday bonus. I'm so used to looking over there for you for your report, and you're up here.
Let me take that.
Yes, ma'am.
So the staff report is on page 11 of the packet. And I apologize. The attorney and I had talked about this weeks ago and forgot to include it in the packet, but we did send out the report and I sent out, did everybody get a copy of the updated ordinance today? Because I've got printed copies and there's printed copies for the public. If they'd like it. We have already budgeted for $5,300 in a line item for employee bonuses. It turns out that state code section 15.2-1508 allows that, but it requires that payment of the bonus be authorized by an ordinance. So in front of you, you have an ordinance that says it's in the budget for 5,300. And that for this year, that means each full-time employee who's been an employee before November 1st and still an employee today, we write the checks, is $325, which comes out to about $300 after taxes and 14 cents, I think. And then part-time would get $162.50, and that I can prorate some of those not to exceed that amount if they've not been here for that period of time. So. And that's the ordinance. You have anything to?
No, just that this is something y'all have already budgeted for, and the General Assembly has put a requirement that you do it by ordinance a specific way, and so we're meeting that requirement.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the ordinance allowing employees holiday bonuses as presented. Ms. Estes, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Seward. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please, Ms. Hall.
All right, Ms. Matthias,
Aye.
Ms. Hoover,
Aye.
Did you forget who you
Mr.
were?
Walls,
Aye.
Mr. Seward,
Aye.
Mr. Dijak,
Aye.
Ms. Estes, Mayor Jackson.
Aye. Now we're going into staff reports, and we'll start with Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you. My staff report starts on page 12 of the packet. Wanted to add a couple of things. The downtown merchants aren't here tonight, but that banners, the fall banners. I'm one of those people that thinks you should have Thanksgiving until, or have fall until after Thanksgiving, but recall last year, the downtown merchants asked that we put the holiday decorations up on Main and College before they did their event. They're doing their event on Black Friday again. It's a nighttime thing. If you've never been, they do luminaries down the street. They've got a choir singing usually on the Thomas House porch. It's like walking out in a Hallmark movie. So anyway, we're gonna try to get the banners and the decorations on the light posts up by then. The decorations over at Dove Park won't be lit until the Saturday of the parade, but the Main and College will be. So wanted to add that just for your information. Wanted to take just a moment to thank Susan for the audit. As you heard the auditor say, we have never reconciled, even when you had a treasurer and a contractor reconciling books. We've never done it the way that it's been done this year. And I did have a chance to meet with the auditors while they were doing it. And it's just a much easier process for everybody. So thank you to Susan's hard work and for being diligent all year round after being through. Last year was her first audit cycle and she wasn't here the whole time in that role. So we're on good course. Wanted to let everybody know Jennifer successfully completed her 6-month probationary period. There was never any doubt. She's an awesome employee. Krista, drum roll please, successfully passed her certification as a certified zoning administrator, and that was 3 difficult exams that she took. It took 30 days to get the results back. She was a nervous wreck, sure that she didn't pass all sections. She did, of course. In fact, I'm gonna tell the story. She was so sure she didn't, that when they sent her email telling her that she had passed all of them, she asked if they were sure. We had no doubt at all. Susan and I knew, everybody here knew she would have no problem passing. But anyway, so she's certified. She still continues with the Municipal Clerks Association certification, which is very rigorous. And then Susan completed another course. She's working towards her Virginia Government Finance Officers Association certification. And she, the one I prioritized was operating and capital budgeting, in hopes that you'll see her presenting more next year and me less. We will work side by side. So congratulations to them. The census data is in. Our population is now 1,688, according to the official records. Everything else is in my report. Are there, I do have one item for consideration. Are there any questions before that? We'll take one and pass that down as well. So I'm distributing. TJ, I need you, Justin forgot to bring me the patch. You need to show everybody what the patch on your uniform looks like.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, TJ is very shy.
Spin move. All right.
You start with Emily and walk down this way so that they can see the patch. So what's on the patch in that top circle is our two former times ago town seal. You have to let them see that it's, no,
Oh,
the
the
patch on the
patch,
side of your
yeah.
arm is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one.
That's right.
That was our seal before, and if you look at it, it's got a building we think is the mill, a river or corn cob or something, a turkey for, anyway, it's hard to produce. Did everybody get a look at that, or does he need to come back by?
He'll be more than happy to make another pass.
That Justin was supposed to leave me 7 of those, but he got called out in a transport today, so he hasn't been in. So what's in front of you though is in 2007, I believe, the town came up with a new seal, which is labeled as current town seal. Also hard to reproduce and never been on the police patch. So Justin's been hunting me for a year because they need to get new patches. And so he asked about the seal. This one technically is the current seal, the one you have up in the one that says. So he had somebody, the 3 down below, he had somebody, a college student, come up with a seal with our building on it with the first one she did were with mountains. And the second one she did, I said, you know, we're not really surrounded by mountains. How about Mold Hill? So she did that, pretty elementary. And then we had Maggie, I shouldn't even say who did what, but would Maggie take a stab at incorporating our current logo, which are the buildings with the town name on it, into a seal. And so that's what you see with number 1 and number 2. So tonight, I just want to know if town council is okay with us looking at approving a new seal that's a little simpler in design. And then if so, if there's any of these that you like as is, or if you want us to have Maggie go back and change some of these designs.
Yeah, I like 1 and 2. I think so. I assume it's going to be easier and cheaper to produce these.
That's what I would think.
Okay.
Plus with the seal or stamp that we have, I think it would
Yeah.
be clearer, but
Yeah, 1 or 2 looks good to me.
Perfect.
I like 1.
I like 1 or 2.
other comments?
I like 1 and 2.
Okay. Do you want me to bring one back to you next month for
Yeah.
approval? Which
I
one do
think
you?
Have
prefer?
it black and white or color.
I like the black and white.
I was gonna say.
I like.
Well,
the
we
color.
could,
Yeah, I like the.
we could do them both. One, approve the color one, but know that if we're printing or the stamp is all gonna be one color and the patch is all gonna be one color.
Right.
But that if we, for some reason, put it on something,
Sorry.
we could do the color one. There's that option as well.
These options, I would only note that I know we're working on the wayfinding signage and gateway information and all that good stuff. So I know there's maybe some urgency. I was just thinking maybe if we could look at these in light of some of the design elements that we're proposing for some of the gateway sign improvements, that maybe that way we can have that unified look.
Okay. Alrighty, I will, hopefully by next month, we'll also have some design done for the wayfinding signs. They had showed us 3 different options. We looked at those. We've since, as you'll see in Maggie's report, met with some of the key stakeholders, and we should be getting design on that soon. So I can bring something back next month.
Okay.
All right, any other questions on my report?
Ms. Smith, how about the treasurer's report?
All right, you guys have the treasurer's report there in front of you. I have 2 things to add to the report. We had 10 water cutoffs that were mailed out. 1 customer is on a payment plan. And the vehicle license fee staff just received from Rockingham County the files. And we are currently reconciling those, and those bills will be going out very soon. Real estate taxes, I believe received yours in the mail. They went out last week. So we're plugging away.
Curious, did people get their real estate taxes Saturday or today?
Yeah.
From the town? Okay. We. Yeah, if you didn't get them by today, then you don't have to pay. No.
I
What the hell?
You should have gotten a letter, even if your mortgage pays it, you should have gotten a letter saying this is not a bill. We tried, again, kudos to Susan and Wendy. As you know, the county switched systems this year, and first we thought we were gonna have to pay the software company $950 to help convert it. It turns out we didn't, but Wendy was meticulous, we hope, and everything that she did, she's been pulling her hair out. So that's why it took longer to get them out. Everybody still has about a month to pay. But next year, hopefully we'll have it. And I think as soon as the county gets us the information, we can get them out. Same with the vehicle tax. We just got it, like Susan said.
Chief Trout is doing a transport today, so we're honored to have Mr. Hooker with us for the report.
Mayor, council, citizens, and students, thank you guys. First of all, thank you for letting me achieve a lifelong dream. I've always wanted to be a male model. Personally challenged, so knock that off the list. Some things that are important for us. We've got some paving going on northbound, southbound lanes of 42. All right, we will commence with that on Wednesday and Thursday. The timeframes will be from 9 a.m. So about 3:30. Hey, listen, I know I've been doing a good job because everybody's looking down. I'm number one when they pass me. I'll let you know. Please stay off your phone when you're in that intersection. I am only 5'5" and 3/4 of the highlighter vest, so I need you to pay attention to even go through there. Okay? It's going to be basically up in 42 is the worst.
It's awful.
But every time I see people coming through there, they're on their cell phone. Zigzagging through traffic.
Ooh.
Do not pass the cones. They have cones set there for a reason. Just keep going in a straight line and I will make sure you get where you need to go, okay? There will be some traffic held up at points, but you know, we try to be safe as much as possible, and that's why it takes so long. And I'm at the mercy of the staff. They was construction will be working really hard and it's hot.
Yeah.
They're working very good. So they're moving along really quickly. It's probably gonna be converging right at that intersection. I would say no later than Thursday morning. So if you have somewhere to be, please divert around the town. You go down 11 and go other routes.
So they've got their own flagman, certified flagman out there, the contractor does, but whenever they're going through the signalized intersection and having to reroute traffic, that's when we need an officer. So that's, they're still paving, but Wednesday and Thursday is when they'll be at that intersection. He was out there last week for the Mason intersection.
It might be a little warmer on Wednesday, Thursday, so it might be about 5%. You might see. We'll see.
Funny.
We'll see. The other thing that we're having Saturday at the Dayton Market. It's going to be us involved with, I believe, Bridgewater Fire Department. So you can come out and see all of our equipment, go hands on with it, and have other football events there. The Dayton Market's got their own thing going on, which is really cool. So they're geared up, ready to go for a great.
Thank you, Lieutenant Hooker. Ms. Lawrence for Public Works.
Public Works report is on page 17 of the packet. Are there any questions on that? We did receive our new Ventrac tractor.
Yay.
Of course, there's
All
been a recall.
No.
But they're doing a repair. Seriously, Ventrac raised the price between the time we and the city and a couple of other towns ordered, and they wanted to pass that price on to us. But the dealer absorb that cost, but yes, there is a repair kit that they've already sent out. Kind of brand new expensive mower. And
You can go right in the water.
okay. We are, I should say Public Works is out trimming along sidewalks and stuff. We asked residents to trim up at least 6.5 feet above the sidewalk. If they don't, then we'll come through and do that. They've been working on that. VDOT, we posted before, VDOT's supposed to have their contractors out clearing brush and trees along their right of way. So along Bowman where the trees run out into the street and stuff. So you'll see their contractors. We thought they'd be here by now, but we haven't seen them. So Water Department is on page 18. Are there any questions on that? Lucas is scheduled to take his class 2 exam. Of course, we're a class 3 facility, but he's studying. Jennifer has all her notes from when she took class 2 and she's helping him. So well, he's going to take that in December. Any questions on the Water Department?
Ms. Hall for Community Development.
All right, my report is on page 19. Under items for consideration, recently we've had an issue come up with lighting requirements in subdivisions, and we need to have more detail in our code. So I'm requesting that council refer it to the planning commission for them to review and elaborate and maybe look at what the county uses and expand our code just a little bit. So if there's more specifics in there.
Sounds like a good idea.
Indeed it does.
Very good.
Yeah, I think, I know we mentioned that briefly at the joint infrastructure and finance committee meeting, and having gone through a lighting ordinance update when I was with the county. This is coming back to, a great great opportunity, but no, it is good to clarify. So.
We'll be delighted to have your expertise on
Yeah,
that. Great.
Right now, the zoning ordinance addresses streetlights in one sentence. It says all subdivisions shall have streetlights. It doesn't say how far apart or how much light or what type of light or shielding for night sky and stuff. So we'll clean that up a little bit.
And if we might have a formal vote on that, a motion for the issue of lighting for the plan.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm sorry, who made the second?
Mr. Seward,
Okay, thank you.
all opposed? Motion passes. Anything else for us, Ms. Hall?
I don't have anything else.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lawrence, for economic development.
Economic development starts on page 20. Holiday decorating contest has been announced. It's going to be, people need to apply by Monday, December 6th. We'll go out as we've done in the past and judge them and give, last year we added extra categories and we'll continue that this year. The Christmas parade, we did get the Turner Ashby marching band.
Yay.
Are any of you in the marching band?
Nice.
On December 4th, they were supposed to have their district competition, but that's being done virtually. I don't know if that's by drones or what, but anyway, so they will be able to make our parade and we can keep it on the same date. So we'll do that. Because we didn't have all of this information when the quarterly newsletter went out, Maggie's doing a one-page front and back flyer that will be mailed either end of this week or next week to talk about that. The chief would be disappointed to know that we didn't talk about Santa Claus, just police Santa, what is it, Santa officer? Anyway, they are making a cutout of you, Santa, that will be dressed as a police officer in blue with a badge, and that cutout will go around to different businesses downtown and in the market in different neighborhoods around town. People that take their picture, post it on Facebook, tag us, and or email it to us, and it's a way to encourage people to go different places in town. So that will also be in the flyer. So we will have that holiday flyer coming up. Also, we have reconciled the final bills and final numbers for the muddler. That's on page 21. The profit was 17,000. Nope, there's a typo in there. That 6 shouldn't be there. $17,015. Half of that goes to Harrisonburg Police Foundation, who provide manpower and obstacles and stuff, and the other half goes to us for community policing activities as well.
this report included all the town's wages and everything taken out of it?
No, it doesn't include wages for other, it says, and their staff time's not included for either because we didn't keep track of the city either. They set up the obstacles and provided like 25 people that day. So we took staff out of it altogether. So no, it's not total profit in those terms, but it's,
No, I just figured we'd have less profit paying back the town for the wages like they did the other year, because they hadn't in the past.
well, we haven't, in the past, we haven't accounted for all the staff. I know that's been an issue. If we did it this year, we'd also have to separate out the city's staffing, and we didn't have all those figures. So we called it even on the staffing. We had budgeted part-time staff in the community development or this is Parks and Recreation budget. Is that correct, Susan? Anything else? I think I've covered the other things in there.
So facade grant applications,
What's that?
facade grant applications.
Facade grant applications are due at the end of this month. We've already gotten about 3 for spring projects. EDA will meet, I think the first week in December or second week. To go over those. We did have 2 facade grant applications that were rolled over last time, asking for modifications to their application or clarifying, so those will also come back. So we know we have at least 5 applications to consider that the EDA will consider.
EDA meets on December 7th.
Thank you. I said first week.
There you
Any other
Anything-
questions on any of that?
Thank you, Ms. Lawrence. Mr. Jordan, legal counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't able to be with y'all at the October meeting, but in reviewing the minutes from that meeting, I noticed a request by Ms. Estes information about the costs associated with my research and drafting of the ordinance pertaining to the hours of town parks. I wanted to share that information with all of you so that you have it. The cost of preparing that ordinance was $690. In addition to drafting the ordinance, that includes, just as I do anytime when I work in an ordinance, looking at the state code and the town charter to make sure you all have the authority to do what it is you're considering doing. Looking at your existing town code to make sure that ordinance talks with the other provisions that you have on the books. And in this instance, to look at what to examine what your existing enforcement options are with respect to if somebody's in a park and you need for them to leave it and they're not willing to do that when you ask them to. And on that note, I just wanted to highlight for you, I don't have any opinion about what the hours of parks are, but that was one thing that this ordinance did. But another was currently with respect to the parks, if you need someone to leave, you're looking at a trespassing, which is a pretty significant penalty of up to a year in jail and a fine of $2,500. And one of the things that the new ordinance did was to reduce that penalty to bring it more in line with kind of the nature of what's going on, and certainly up to council matters of policy, but I just wanted to make sure that y'all understood that.
Thank you. I just wanted to know how much it costs every time we do one of these little nuisance ordinances. Because we already have signs up, so I was just.
Will
wondering.
you
I
address that?
appreciate it.
Well, the cost for an ordinance varies a lot depending on what the
Yeah.
nature of the ordinance is and how long it is. $690, frankly, is on the cheap end. This took about 2.5 hours of my time. Some ordinances, if it's a significant ordinance, telecommunications or something that's really involved, could be many thousands of dollars.
No, I
So
get it.
it really ranges.
I just wanted to know about that specific one because we already have signs in the park and everybody said we didn't. And I
Will you
sent
explain the
photographs
difference
of the
between signs and
pictures and
ordinance?
the signs of the park. So I
Sure.
just
Well,
want
the-
to know for the public people that they know how much they're spending on these ordinances. They need to know. They were asking me, so I appreciate you answering.
with respect to the signs, if the mayor would like for me to respond to that, I don't personally know the history behind the signs that are there. Of course, the park belongs to the town and council is the body that governs the town. I'm not aware of any record of council ever having set the hours on the parks.
No, it's just been like that since my childhood.
Certain, maybe it very likely has. But I guess the
Yeah.
concern would be that if council were to run in a situation where you did need to enforce hours on the park, that a clever criminal defense attorney would say, well, where did you ever set the hours? And we wouldn't be able to point to anything. And so it's helpful to provide some clarity to have y'all vote on that. It's also helpful to staff because clearly there's a dialogue about what the hours in the park should be, and council's the governing body, and the hours in the park should be what y'all want them to be as a body.
I get that. I appreciate that. My question is for the public people that had questions about it, and they got their answer. Thank you.
So just a reminder, that was referred to the Parks and Recreation and Police Committees. The mayor will address that now that we have a new council member, we have a new committee structure. We didn't have a Parks Committee for the past couple of months, but we do now. So they will plan on meeting and we'll come back with a recommendation in December.
All right, now, before we get into committee reports, I will go over the new committee assignments. Mr. Bradford will now be the finance chair, which also makes him the vice mayor. So welcome to that. We had already announced Ms. Matthias will be the chair of the Personnel Committee with Ms. Hoover. The Economic and Community Development is Mr. Dijak as the chair and Ms. Matthias as the member. Parks, Recreation, Beautification, Mr. Seward is the chair and I am the member. And for infrastructure, we have Mr. Seward as the chair and Mr. Walls, we're going to put him right to work right off the bat. Police Committee, we have Ms. Hoover as the chair and then myself. So those are the new committees. Now we'll start with Mr. Dijak for his report for Economic and Community Development.
I'll accept condolences for being vice mayor there, but thank you, sir.
I got all kinds of things to give
There
you.
you go. Yeah, okay. No, but for those of you here, for economic development, again, it's exciting times to be in Dayton. Go right from, Dayton days right into, we've got small business, or we've got small town Christmas. So that's coming up on, what's traditionally Black Friday. So come on out, support our local merchants downtown. There's going to be some great items there and great celebration. It's good to, I think carolers are back at Thomas House and all that. So it'll feel like a nice normal Christmas. So take the relatives out and about and stroll Dayton. And then right before that, so this coming weekend, we've got at the market, the customer appreciation event, which Lieutenant Hooker had already referenced. So come on out there. So we've got excitement on both those weekends. Also, just want to take the time to just acknowledge that we did have a very productive Main Street organization discussion a week ago. And so we've got some folks here who've been very active in that, and so we thank you for that. So Ms. Crank, I'm looking at you. And
TJ got things on.
there you go. Okay.
We'll be modeling later.
There you go. We need to get him out the next meeting. Yeah. But anyway, so that just for everyone's benefit again, that we're continuing those discussions on Main Street organization, and thanks for Councilmember Estes for joining that meeting too. It was, I think, a good productive discussion, trying to work out a vision, organizational process, and some goals for that organization to achieve. Again, this will be kind of a grassroots effort, public-private partnership, but with the merchants and interested property owners taking the lead here. And so with Maggie's stewardship here, I think we've had some good discussions, and we'll be meeting again December 9th at the Thomas House at 6 p.m. So we'll get that information out, but we'll continue to try to organize that and plan for bigger and better things here in the coming year. So thank you for that. Real quick, just to highlight a couple business announcements. Also, speaking of Thomas House, I did want to take the opportunity to acknowledge that we've got a retirement of sorts here. And so Teresa Smith, a longtime cook there at Thomas House, will be retiring this year. And so I think she's been there like 19, 20 years or so at Thomas House. And anyway, so exciting news for her. Sad to hear that, but there, in case anyone missed it, there's a great write-up on her career and insights in the Daily News Record today. So kudos for highlighting that. And glad to see she's getting that recognition behind the counter there. And then lastly, I just note on another good news, this past weekend, Firefly Yarn and Mercantile opened up And I think there's going to be a little recognition coming up at the customer appreciation. No, there's not. Okay. Anyway, there's.
Ribbon- If I could interrupt, there's a
Please.
ribbon cutting at 10
I
o'clock
was
for
gonna
the
say
new
that.
toy stores expansion over at the Dayton Market. Firefly is going to do their ribbon cutting in January. They do have a demonstration on spinning this week,
Perfect.
but yeah, their ribbon cutting for council members put on their calendar will be in January.
Excellent.
The ribbon cutting, I'll send something out Friday in my report, but for the toy store is the second.
Yeah, it's a Tic Tac Toys. It's 10 o'clock Saturday.
Yep.
Yes.
Sounds good. Again, lots going on here in our little town, and that's good. So I guess that means the market is fully occupied now, so that is great. So all those spaces are good. So if any of you, unless there's any questions, I think that covers our update.
Thank you, sir. And then for the finance, we didn't meet, but as Ms. Lawrence said, going through an annual audit is a lot of work, and Ms. Smith just did a phenomenal job. So we thank you for your diligence on that. And, in past, we've got to the end of the year and we've just been scrambling, trying to get everything. So thanks for keeping things up to date each month.
Absolutely.
And back to Mr. Dijak for infrastructure.
All right, very good. Yeah, very good. I guess will be my last update from infrastructure, but I know we're in good hands there with Mr. Seward and Mr. Walls. But real quickly, we did have a joint meeting with finance to go over the water treatment plant expansion discussion, which we covered earlier here with the property acquisition. And then the other item of business we addressed was coordination with VDOT on street overlay, and also talking about prioritizing alley maintenance as well. So I know that I'll be in good hands here with you two to take it and run with it. But and kudos to our Public Works Department for doing a great job there and being proactive. So.
Thank you. Mr. Seward for Parks Recreation.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Mathias for Personnel.
Yes, we actually met twice since our last meeting. October 26th, Heidi, myself, and Angela met. We discussed the process of the annual performance evaluation for the town manager and planned how I would take that over, disperse the evaluation to the appropriate people. We also discussed some pay classifications for specific positions in the Springstead study, as well as some cessation planning, but there were no updates or changes. It was more of a learning process for me, I think. And then we also met again on November 3rd, Heidi Hoover and myself only. We reviewed the performance feedback for the town manager. We collated the results, and we discussed how to present the data in our closed session today at our November meeting. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Hoover for Police, and we will need to schedule that joint meeting between Police and Parks.
No other report at this time.
Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Crank addressed the council at the October meeting and asked council to consider a possible council reprimand. Council would like to inform Ms. Crank that this is a subject that was discussed in closed session on August 9th, 2021. Any other council comments?
When was it discussed?
August 9th, 2021. That was the meeting that you refused to join.
You talked about yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't punish yourself.
It was discussed at the meeting.
Okay, cool. You just got covered up for 4 months and still nothing's happened. Okay. That's much.
Any other council comments?
I'm gonna bring a 6-pack next week, show
All
the
right.
kids how to conduct a meeting.
We have no unfinished business to discuss tonight. Do we have any new business to discuss? We'll now hear from citizens who signed up for public comments portion of this tonight's meeting. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes, and we have Ms. Cranks on it.
Good evening, everybody.
Shame on
Dayton Main Street has had 3 meetings. We'd like to thank Bradford for joining us as our non-voting member representing town council. We plan to set some long-term and some short-term goals for Dayton Main Street. Our next meeting is December 9th at the Thomas House. We have a couple requests or concerns. Could the streets be swept prior to the November 26th small town holiday celebration? That might be quick enough that when we do the Christmas parade, it would still be somewhat clean. But if that could be looked into, we think that, the good thing is we're a farming town. The bad thing is we're a farming town. The good thing is we got trees and black walnut trees. The bad thing is we got trees and black walnut trees. And then if you wouldn't mind, the committee that does this, and if you're not the one, our town interactive map has a couple dozen inaccurate places. Places are missing, like Jody. I don't know how Jody got missed off of our interactive map. And so if you wouldn't mind taking a look at that, and that's just me in a couple of minutes going through going, oh my goodness, BB&T's gone, we got new churches. Hopeful Things is open, we don't even have them on our map. And
What
that's,
app is this?
it's on your town website,
Yeah.
on your town website. So I don't know who can get to it, so I didn't play around, I don't think I can update it. And so,
Okay, I think that's just a direct link to Google, and so they would need, I think, I'll double check with
Yeah,
Maggie.
but I,
Do you know?
yeah, I just think if we're gonna have a town map, it needs to be accurate if we're gonna grow it, because people do use that. And there was somebody looking for, and we had that website open. And so, yeah, that interactive map needs to be updated. And then there's an ugly rumor going around, and I'm still investigating. But it doesn't involve town council that I know of, so everybody. There's an ugly rumor, because I got stopped at the post office that, and I'm not the only one, that someone was told if, as owners of businesses, if they didn't get vaccinated, they had to shut down. I will be back next time updating that. You know, I don't know what, I guess I've talked too much and it lands with me, but I'm at the post office. So I said, let me ask you a question. Have you heard this? I'm like, I don't think that's true. And then lastly, and this is no offense to our new council member. If you could, at all possible, the next time somebody runs and they're not the one to get it, to let them know. Because we had a meeting October 28th, and that name was already up there, and the person who ran against him was sitting in the audience. That should not have happened. No offense to you, but I feel bad for the person, but that was sitting there. And several of us noted that, and we're like, whoa, and I'm pretty sure the person who lost saw it too. So maybe next time be a little quicker on the uptick of letting folks know when they don't get a position, because I thought that was kind of tacky. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan.
Mr. Mayor, if I could mention that the clerk reached out, as did I, to the person who was not elected the day after. The clerk reached out to her the morning after, and I reached out when we didn't hear back, but she did acknowledge the clerk at that time.
That person actually showed me the emails that she could see, and actually the only one she had was practice. And that was like the day after our meeting.
If you want to come in, I can show you, because
I'm not going there, I'm just saying, we
Okay.
were sitting in that room and that name was up there. He hadn't been sworn in or anything.
Yeah.
That was pretty quick on a name. I'm just saying it was tacky. And that person isn't here tonight, so it kind of puts bad taste in people's mouths.
Okay.
All right, we're going to have our second closed session. Upon recess to the second and final closed session, the live streaming will conclude, as there will be no further agenda items for discussion. I need a motion to go into closed session, discuss the annual performance review of a specific employee or employees of the town pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1 for discussion, consideration of interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointments, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employee of the town. The subject matter of the closed session is the annual performance review of the specific employee or employees of the town.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Oh, give it to Mr. Walker.
All right, just jump in there.
There you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We will now go into closed session. Thank you all for coming out this evening. It's great seeing you.
Are you going to announce that we're going to turn off the Zoom at this time?
Oh, that's right. We're not leaving here.
You guys are staying here.
Right.